All right, we ready to go.
So what's good? How's it going?
It's going all right, man. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm like a bit about my situation. Like, I'm a journalist, like artist, like both visual, trying to get into recording arts and stuff. And but mostly focusing on the journalism and the culture, philosophy type aspect of things right now, man. And yeah, I was like been on my own in Toronto for like about 4 years. I was like born here, but my mom moved back to Calgary and all that. So, went through school, was like living in residence, had a couple sublet apartments, a couple rooms. And was with my grandpa. My grandpa passed away. I kind of like finessed the system and lived in there for like a year without them knowing and stuff. And it's like one of those senior government buildings. And when they found me, when they found out I was there, like after a year, they kicked me out. And I'm in a shelter now, and they might kick me out because I missed a fire alarm. So
Yeah, I feel that.
like,
I'm back living with my parents now, so I know what you mean. Shit, it's just like I don't know. COVID's really like fucked my shit up. Like I had a whole bunch of shit planned, and
like life is COVID, bro. Like life is COVID, bro.
For real.
Okay. But no, I understand. Sorry to cut you off, actually.
No, you're good. But yeah, because I had a tour in Spain because I had moved to Korea and then I had a tour in Spain. It was gonna be like 10 dates. It was like in Madrid and Vigo and Barcelona and all these cities, and then that shit got canceled like a week before. So I was just like,
damn,
that totally fucked up on my plans because instead of leaving Korea, that meant that I had to stay there, and my visa was only good for 3 months because I was gonna go to Spain, and then when you come back, your visa is like they reassign it to you, so you have 3 more months. I ended up getting an extension, so I lived there for 4 months, and then I had to come back to the U.S., and that really sucked.
I feel you.
I mean, it's not like I'm like the U.S. is like that. It's different, but it's
How do you
was
feel about the U.S. like versus Korea? Well, not necessarily versus, but like.
well, right. Just compared to like, I really liked living there, and I think mostly it was just like the people because I had a lot more friends there, and like the scene there is really cool. There's a whole bunch of new artists that are doing like really like awesome stuff there, and they all kind of know each other too because it's like the thing about it is since everyone in Korea lives in like the capital, like I think there's like 75% of the population or whatever is just in that
That's actually
one
pretty
city.
high.
Yeah, so and it's also a pretty small country. Like it's to one end of it to the other. You can get there in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know what I mean? So it's like nobody's that far away from each other, and everybody's mostly congregating in the same places. So it's a really like it's one of those scenes where like everybody knows each other and is cool with each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is like over here, it's like I don't know. It's kind of separated. Like people are like don't want to fuck with each other kind of, but like they don't have that attitude, which is cool. That's the thing is that everybody I know there is like their attitude is just like super. There are all the people that I met in Korea have like super great work ethic, and they're really friendly and they're really polite and respectful. And that's just like that's just hard to come by sometimes over here.
Yeah. What state you in?
Right now I'm in Washington. I was born and raised in Washington in Seattle, but right now I live like it's like 20 minutes south. It's like by the airport. It's called Tukwila. It's like this little city off the highway. But yeah, like I said,
I mean, it must kind of feel like that, like, you know what I mean? So I kind of noticed too, like in certain like communities like that, like things are a little more like closed off, you know what I mean? Like people kind of feel like they have to be like the one to break it, or the whole could be like two or three people, but that's a kind of like almost like an old rule, because the things used to literally work that way. Like, you're a label or even just a group of like artists, and you have like okay, do we need another guy from even like just another even just another like artist of the same type? Even it doesn't even have to be like from where you're from, but like especially if it's like okay, we have like the guy for instance from your state, like from Washington. Like not every rapper comes from Washington. That's kind of special.
Yeah,
You know, but if there's another rapper from Washington, and another rapper from Washington, then they'd be like, okay, like now we're just like a Washington rapper, like what happened? You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. And
But
it's like, especially in the creative space, it's like stuff like that can be limiting because like collaboration is really, it's a really cool thing, you know
it's
what
the
I
key to
mean?
art, man.
And I just, because I, to some degree, I kind of am like that because now it's like I'm pretty open about collabing with people. Yeah, like I sell features and stuff like that. But like sometimes I feel like I don't know, it just becomes hard to work with people just because of all the drama and stuff. Sometimes it's like some people are just like I don't know. It's hard to describe, but this just it's just kind of like high school in a way. Sometimes, you know what I mean? It feels like it's like a popularity contest and everybody talks shit about each other behind their back and stuff like that. Because I try not to do that. Like when I talk about people, you know what I mean? If I catch myself, talking negatively about someone, you know what I mean? Usually I try to like stop myself because that shit is pretty toxic habit to have. But
Yeah,
like it for some reason it's just really common in in the creative art world and shit like that.
yeah, man. I feel you. Like that. I feel you. I'm definitely on that. A lot of like I've had a couple experiences with that, but I feel like everybody kind of has in a certain way. But it's kind of like how do I say how like essential it is, how critical it is, because like if you think about it, if you're an artist and you have people talking behind your back and making you look like you're not a good person, then you can't really like do your art, I would guess, right? Like not you can't, but it would be hard to do it.
Yeah, no, it's
You know what
difficult.
I mean?
Like
So
it's difficult. It makes it more of like, it makes it more of an anxiety inducing thing than something
yeah,
that I want to do, you know what I mean? Than
yeah,
something that I
and
look
it doesn't.
forward to.
I feel like it doesn't make it impossible or either. Like it's not like you can't make it or can't make anything, but it's just like yeah, there's so much anxiety that it's like you can barely kind of concentrate or have like especially have fun doing it, which is like how you
Yeah,
that's
man,
how you
it's
make good art. Like
you
you know what I
know,
mean? Or like even if you make like you have a lot of fun making a track and it's trash, or you have a lot of fun making like a video and it's trash or whatever, like you at least are like, yeah, I had fun making that and I can apply that to like a real song video or whatever.
exactly.
You know what I mean? So I feel you on that.
Because
Um
that's important. That's really important.
that's it is.
But I
So
feel
getting
like
along.
yeah, I feel like for the most part, I try to be, just open minded and positive about things because it's something that's you know that's the hard thing to do. The easy thing, it's easy to be negative and hate on shit. That's what people don't
Yeah,
realize. Like
yeah,
even though some people think it's like cool or whatever, it's taking the easy route to try to be open minded and see something cool and something that maybe what I mean is not it's something that your friends don't like or something that you're not supposed to like or whatever or something that maybe even personally you don't like to see something good in it even if you don't necessarily like it as a whole. That's important, like seeing where people come from, you know what I mean, like having empathy and shit like that.
definitely. Empathy, a big part about that. Yeah, man. But yo, speaking of, okay, so things I want to talk to you about and stuff. That's actually definitely part of it, music and stuff like that. Um, I definitely want to actually. I want to ask you about like kind of like you're in Washington State and everything. It's like it's a decently economically important state, but it's not California, it's not Texas, it's not New York or whatever.
Right.
So it would have that like maybe like middle state syndrome or whatever. Like coming from Ontario, which is like the main state for Canada, the main province for Canada, pretty much. People like in Manitoba or Alberta are kind of just like I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
so I was kind of wondering like how does that translate to like the like with like the police and stuff, like what kind of like and like kind of like, we were talking about anarchy and things like that and stuff in the DM or whatever. So I'm wondering like how does that how would have like, growing up maybe in Washington like shaped your view and traveling to Korea, traveling like, like around the world and stuff like how did like how did you kind of like I guess arrive to that conclusion, I guess, as an artist? I don't know if that's a good question.
Just it's kind of like it's because I've been making music for like probably 10 years now, honestly, maybe even more, because I started when I was like 11, because I was in middle school and stuff, and then I would make music like in school, kind of, because I don't know, I was in one of those programs where like they let you use your they let you use your computer because it's easier to type and stuff like that. So I mean, all the way back then to now, it's like I've been through so much shit. It's like, you know what I mean? I've seen a lot and I've done a lot and I've made a lot of music, but like also there's so much stuff that I want to do ahead, you know what I mean? And there's so much stuff that I feel like I haven't reached, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. And then, like yeah, I feel that. What was I gonna ask next? Like, but yeah, what were you saying? I actually didn't hear most of what you were saying.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I was kind of like zoning out.
No, it's okay, bro. I'd be doing that too.
So yeah, so okay. Yeah, take me back on that because actually I first heard about you like a while ago, like 2016, I think. Like my boy showed me helicopters in his apartment, and he's like, "Yo, the song is so sick. Like, don't fuck with the oppers. Smoke bloods get you high like helicopters." So,
Yeah, dude, that shit. Actually, I made that when I was like 15, bro. It's crazy. Like that
dude,
shit was so like, because the thing is it was like a freestyle. It was like just like some little shit I did, like 15-minute song, because this guy Marvin Cruz who produced it, and he's done beats for like Lil B and Soldier Boy and stuff like that. So I was a big fan of him, and then I reached out to him on Facebook, and he sent me like a little pack of beats, and yeah, I did a video for it, and then a Starry DM'd me on SoundCloud and wanted to upload it to his channel, and I didn't know who he was or anything. And so I was like, sure, if you want to do that, not knowing that it was gonna blow up. Like it blew up immediately. It was like, 30,000 views in like a day or something like that. So it was like, and that was the first time that something like that had happened, and it was a really big boost for my career. So that song definitely like has helped me out. But I am kind of sick of it though after hearing it so
yeah.
many.
Well, for that long, like if you're
Yeah, especially when
so
people like.
have you been up since then? Like, there's been no plateau or like no like
Nah,
a
I mean,
like
low key, that
like no like no rest or whatever. Because like
there's been ups and downs, in like popularity and stuff, but like in my work ethic, like I've been consistently. You can look, I've been dropping like 3 or 4 tapes every year, so I just kind of try to go with that approach because like I think I was watching an interview like the baby or something like that, and he was talking about how he did like a music video every week or something. So it was just you got to keep it coming, because he did that and then eventually he blew up. So I was just like, you know, keep the. I mean, I'm not saying that's what inspired me to do it because obviously I've been making music for way longer than the baby sort of thing.
no,
But
no,
like,
no.
but like,
That's
just
cool that
that
you've been
kind of
making music.
attitude, you know what I mean?
Been
Even when I
making
was,
music longer than the baby though.
yeah,
No,
even,
I mean I don't know when the baby started. You could have only started like 2 or 3 years ago, but like in that case, I've
yeah,
been doing this for
who
like six
knows,
years. I'd
bro?
be like
Because it's
nine.
like
Whatever.
when I first started making music too, it's not like I started as a little soda boy. Like I started making beats mostly, and they weren't even really beats necessarily. It was kind of just like experimental lo-fi music type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like and so my shit's kind of grown, went through a lot of different styles, and then eventually I kind of made it more like, instead of just being like, oh, I'm gonna be an artist or I'm gonna be this persona or whatever, I was like, I'll just have it be me. You know what I mean? So like, that's why when people are like, oh, like, you know, your little soda-boi persona and shit,
It's like
is like,
that's literally just you.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel it. Huh, true. Yeah. So it's like, when did you? That's actually a good thing to like talk about too. Like, what did you what kind of music did you start out making? Like, what kind of like? I mean, you've always been to hip hop, always been doing that. Like, you're a hip hop artist. Um, like you started off with like lo-fi versus like, you're more like, like now, like the most like the thing that people are mostly listening to is like plug, right? Like, it used to be traffic a couple years ago, and now this is like plug music and stuff. We're starting to progress towards that, I think. um so like, I don't know, where do you feel like, I would ask like, where do you feel like you fit in, but
I
I
mean,
guess,
that's the thing, is that like quantifying it, like, you know, what genre I make with just like one word or something, it's like, it's really hard because I mean, a lot of my songs sound really different. You know what I mean? You could say one song is within that. So I
it's like,
try not to, I tr I think versatility is like something that, it's not like I try to, I just kind of need to. And when it comes to like artistic expression, it's like I want to try a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm like that with everything. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes I move every couple of months, and I like to try new food, and I like to, you know, try new experiences and stuff. So same thing with music. It's like I like to try new stuff and incorporate new
and
sounds and
maybe
stuff.
just say this is Lil Soda Boy's first Zoom call. You heard it here first.
Oh
Await
yeah,
television got the first Zoom call from Lil Soda Boy.
yeah, because
Um,
I didn't have a
no,
job or school or anything like that. And like every time, like, I don't know, every time someone
it's my day off,
was
bro.
talking about Zoom call, I didn't know. So this is, yeah, my first Zoom call. You can put it on record.
That's her. You already know, bro. Yeah, that's cool. Um, but yeah, man. Like, uh, yeah, I think like also too, like, one thing that's definitely changed in music and stuff since then is like marketing, um,
Right. Right.
and stuff
It's
like
a
that.
different world. It's a totally different
Yeah.
world, even just
And
from
you know
where it
what? I think
was
it's almost,
3 years ago.
yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, marketing's definitely changed, because like, first of all, like, back when like we were kids or whatever, like, you used to rely on like a label to do that and stuff like
Right.
that, and you had to like talk to like a bunch of special people. They would actually have
Right.
to take an interest in you and want to develop you.
Which still
um
does happen, you know what I mean? But it's like you
Plus,
don't have to do it.
but you don't
That's the
have to,
difference.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, but now,
People can be independent. You know, there's people who are independent artists making, you know, millions and millions of dollars and stuff like that. That's kind of unheard of for a while, unless it was like a kind of rare thing, because there's space for that. But then also too, it's like there's a lot of like, with the labels, there's a lot of gatekeeping. Like you can't get into certain, you know, circles or onto certain publications unless you have a label. So, but these same artists will have, that will be barred from stuff like that, will have like so many fans that it won't matter. You know what I mean? Because that's what matters, is literally just, do you have the fans? It doesn't matter if you're on this magazine or website or whatever, which it didn't used to be like that. You used to kind of have to do that. You kind of had to play the game a little bit. But I think a lot of artists have been trailblazing for, like, you know, real independent shit. Because I mean, I would never say that I wouldn't sign, but I'm not signed right now, and I don't mind at all. You know, it's like it's liberating to be able to drop where I want, when I want, you know, whatever I want. Like I don't have any real restrictions. And that's, you know, that's something that a lot of people that I know that have been signed, you know, have complained to me about, like, oh, you know, they won't let me drop this song because they don't think it's good enough. Like, dude, that would make me so pissed off, dude, if I made a
yeah.
song and the label was like, nah, it's not the one, bro. I'm like, damn, that's fucked.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad
um
that can,
You put your soul into that, and like, you know, most songs people talk about what they're going through. So like, you know, you could be talking about like, I don't know, your mom died in a car crash or some crazy shit, and then
yeah,
yeah,
they're just like,
yeah, this ate it, bro. The 808s are
it's
off.
not gonna be a
It's
hit,
like,
bro.
yeah, like,
Yeah,
you know, like,
and that's the thing too, is like when it comes to like putting out shit and like, you know what I mean, putting your time and effort into it, is like I control every step of the process, you know, for me personally, from my art. Like I mix it, I engineer it, I produce it for the most part. Sometimes I have other people make the beats. And same thing for the videos. Like I make probably 90% of my own videos from start to finish. Uh, and sometimes I work with other people. But like, yeah, for the most part, I'm really picky also when it comes to my own art. So I like to just like, you know.
yo, is that your Glock?
Hmm?
Is that your Glock? He's actually, oh, hey, what's up? What you got? 17 or 19?
It's just a 19. A
19.
little tiny thing.
19s are nice. They're advanced, bro. You got the compact slide with the full 17 frame. That's pretty nice. You know,
Bro, do you like my background too?
I'm fucking with it. I mean, like the one on the what do you say? The one on the let's left to right. The one on the left is a little too like lolly, like juvenile daddy, like we have 4 years old type thing going
No,
on.
no,
Like, with the maid and
she's
stuff.
like 20, she's like 23, bro.
You're like 20. Yeah,
She's
she did it too.
definitely, she's of age.
Right. Yeah,
But
she went to college late. She like 3 years into college now. I feel you.
yeah, she's got books in the background. Like there's a shelf, there's books, you know, she's a well-learned, mature young lady. But I designed this hoodie and this hat too.
True. Okay. Wait, zoom in
Yeah,
on that. Zoom in on that.
yeah, here, let me pick up the,
Is that merch or?
I can't bring it any further because my cords and
It's
stuff,
okay.
but it's
Epic.
department.
Epic what?
Epic department.
Epic department. I feel it.
That's my little collective that I have going. It's me, Kale Crypt, who's a producer, and this other guy, Solar, who does the graphics for us. So I'm just kind of starting that, but I don't exactly know where that's gonna go. But I think
That's
it's
pretty fire, yeah. And
these
I like
guys
the one, I like the one on the right. Like she got a nice butt. She looks nice. I don't know what to say.
yeah,
It's
no, and I
called
have a bunch of
everything.
all over my room too. You can't really see it, but I have a bunch of like little stickers and stuff like that, and I get those car decals you're supposed to put on your car, but I just put them on the wall.
Okay, I'm trying to like I got like the virtual background on like so I got like the Counter Strike Source Office background.
That's funny as fuck. I thought that, bro. I didn't
Yeah,
even notice that was a fucking background, dude. I
that's
literally thought that was just your room for a sec. That's
CS:GO, bro.
funny as fuck.
CS:GO, bro.
That's funny as fuck. Yeah, I definitely like when I was gaming and stuff like that, because I don't game anymore, but when I used to play video games, I just never really fucked with like shooter.
You don't like shooter games?
Like I'm okay at them. It's not that I suck at them. I just like I just like was never like super into it. Like I could never rack up hella hours because I'll just get bored of it. You know what I mean? I was more of like, it's weird. I was like a platformer, dude. Like I played like Mario and shit.
Okay.
Because I had all the retro emulators on my computer, you know. So I would just download like, bro, you know my favorite video game though? Fucking Astro Boy for the Game Boy Advance, Astro Boy Omega Factor. Dude, that shit was fucking so fun, bro. That shit was
True.
so fun, dude. It's ridiculous.
I
Because
feel
it's
you.
like it had this playthrough mechanic where you played through the game, and then once you beat all the levels, you go through it, play through the game again. But it's like in the storyline, your character knows that it's already played through the game, and so you have dialogue, and the dialogue changes. You know what I mean? And then you have to like go back to certain levels and like to like retrieve shit to like help you beat the level in the future. It's fucking sick. I gotta go to the bathroom if that's all right.
I feel you.
I'll be right. BRB.
Pedro.
My bad. It's just my phone. Yeah, 1 second. The format and shit.
I'm bugging with you.
Yeah, but I'll be back then.
All right, for sure. But yo, thank you.
Yeah, no, this shit is tight.
Peace. Oh, they're far out.
How's my audio? How's my audio? Is my audio clear?
Yeah, your audio's actually pretty crisp.
Yeah, I'm using the same mic I used to record.
Same good. I'll be wearing my
Des arbres, des grosses arbres et des robots chiens tueurs comme dans Black Mirror. Bienvenue à
What's that noise?
Chaque année,
It's like,
le gratin des entreprises de surveillance
it's a servo non disponible. It's a French
des arbres
like news thing. They do like a lot of like kind of similar to like vein of
I can't. It's kind of hard to hear because there's some talking. What did you say? It's a French what?
it's literally it's literally just like a French like French news site, and they're talking about like there's an arms expo in France, so like they're just like so, selling like guns, I guess, and things like that. Like it's like the vendors themselves, like Sig Sauer or like Cults America actually like going to like setting up like a trade show. And I'm like that's a it's kind of like there's a lot of like ethics about war and everything like that. That's kind of fun. Yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, what do you think about war? What do you think about war? And do you know anybody
just
that's like served maybe? Like this is a question I can kind of jump into.
No, actually, I don't know any veterans I can't really think of because nobody. Maybe my grandpa was a Vietnam vet, I think. Maybe it was a World War II vet, but the reason why I don't know, he never talked about it. You know what I mean? And the family didn't really talk about it either, which is kind of interesting. I feel like some people have different approaches to that. Like, you know what I mean? Some veterans are like really proud and like don't mind talking about it, but I think probably he just had bad memories and so probably didn't want to speak on it. But I mean, war in general, it's pretty like shitty. Like definitely, I mean, in an ideal world there would be no war, but that's not realistic. So I guess my my stance on it is that there should definitely be more efforts to unify because there's so much us versus them going on right now and everything, bro. Like in literally everything, it's like some sort of dichotomy, you know what I mean? You're on this side or you're on that side, and that's it. And there's no in between. And I think that it takes away a lot of your agency to think for yourself, especially with like the two-party system we have here in America. It's like, okay, maybe it's better than somewhere like China where there's only a one-party system, but still it's like, what if you align with some conservative views and then you align with some liberal views? There's not really a space for you. You know what I mean? There's not really like, because my opinion is that I think things like that should be based, it should be based on issue by issue. You know what I mean? Not just, this way of thinking and this way of thinking, because it's like there are so many different individual issues that both sides have pretty stern stances on, and it's like you can't pick and choose. And I think that you should be able to, because why should something like, for example, why should abortion have something to do with like the economy? You know what I mean? It's like these are two completely pretty much unrelated things that if you align with, either ideology, it's like you're signing a contract that's like, all right, well, if I have this opinion, then I have to sign up for all these other, opinions.
Yeah.
As soon as there's a new talking point, you know what I mean, on either side, then everybody has to just collectively agree with it because they're already sucked into it. It's pretty weird. It's kind of culty, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, yeah, definitely American politics can be, and politics in general, like the nation states are pretty cultish. And you might start out like, joining a party or just voting for a party, like this being like for the same reasons, like I'm like, pro-choice and I'm pro I don't pro, I don't know, pro whatever, but like what does the guy do if he's like, like pro-choice, pro this, pro that, but like he's also pro-gun or whatever. And but all the
Yeah,
pro-gun guys are like on
exactly.
the other side. And then you have to like actually talk to guys who are like literally racist just to talk about like just to know anything really about firearms so you don't get hurt. Just no firearm safety.
Exactly, dude. And that's why Bernie Sanders had trouble with when he was talking about gun rights and stuff. Like Bernie didn't want to take away the guns, and then as soon as he said that, he alienated a lot of his mostly liberal base because they don't like guns at all, and so
No, they're
there's
more
not
like told
like
not
that.
to like guns. Like it's weird. It's more like told not to like guns, and if you like guns, and you have to have like a real like an excuse, almost like a real excuse to like them or to like.
Yeah, or like,
Like, you have to be like a
to
Democrat
protect my
army
family.
veteran or
Yeah.
a Democrat cop to like that and stuff. And then like the police
Yeah.
aren't even interested in firearms. They're more interested in like law enforcement and different. They're actually more interested in surveillance technology more than anything now.
Right. That's a
Like
huge thing right
that's
now.
where they're at. The military is like more cyber warfare, drones,
Well, because
and
everything's
small arms
shifting,
development too. It's like
over. It's not so much the physical war as it is the data war. You know what I mean? It's like that's where the real control comes from. That's what generates the most money. You know what I mean? It's the information, it's the data. It's that's like that's worth more than anything in this day and age. If you have all the data, you pretty much own the game. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's why things like Amazon and Google and stuff like that seem less like corporations and more like a ruling class than the government, because really ultimately,
Almost like their own countries.
yeah,
Even
because
yeah.
ultimately they have more control over what happens to the country than the government does, because they have so many hands in the government. They could pretty much pay their way into anything. You know what I mean? People that run the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, are literally the same people that used to work for places like Tyson Foods and stuff. You can look it up, and all these people that run the regulatory sectors of government usually have past employment in that sector. So that's literally like,
That's true, yeah.
it's auditing yourself basically, which obviously
That
you're
has to
gonna,
that is corruption though. Isn't that corruption?
yeah,
Isn't that
yeah,
corruption?
that's
If you're like if you
pretty
work
much
for like
corruption.
if you work for like I don't know, like an oil company like Exxon Mobil or whatever, or like BP or whatever, and then you go and you like are like the environment minister for Canada or like the environment minister for the UK or like secretary or
Yeah,
like whatever, like
literally.
that doesn't make any like secretary of energy for the US or whatever, like it could make some
That's
sense.
basically
Like,
that's
but yeah,
basically self-regulation. That's basically being in charge of
but
all,
isn't there
of
but there's
all
a
the
conflict of interest,
safe,
like
all the risks that
yeah.
there are, like safety to people and safety to humanity at large. Even, I mean, some of these like food, like GMOs and stuff like that, like that has larger implications than just food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like
And you
the
control the food
companies
supply, you
like
control the
Monsanto
people.
and stuff like that, they're actually trying to fuck with like human genomes and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, bro, did you see that article about they put a pig heart in a human?
I did not
No,
see
no,
that
no, it was a
article.
pig
No, that
kidney.
is
It was a pig
kidney.
kidney. And the way that they did it was the person had like signed off to be, there's like an organ donor, but then there's beyond that, you can like donate your body to science. And
Yeah.
so after their brain stopped or whatever, they kept them alive with the artificial like breathing and stuff like that. And they took out their kidney and they replaced it with a kidney that they had grown in a pig that was spliced with human genomes. So that was GMO. Like they took that pig and they spliced it with the human genome so that for some reason there's a protein in just like regular pig organs that doesn't bond with the human cells. And so the organ
or whatever.
Yeah, there's just immediate like organ failure. The organ is rejected. But because they spliced that genome with human genomes, then they were successfully able to, I mean, the kidney was, what does it do? It like regulates urine. It was operating functionally, which is like the first time that they've ever put any sort of animal organ inside of a human body and had it operate correctly.
And the scientific like the medical benefits are obviously there. Like, you can you don't have to rely on
totally
donors or whatever, and you could say like you're in like a rural country or whatever, like that's mainly rural and stuff, and so it's like a lot of like farms, whatever. That's the thing that's a benefit, but then it's also like insanely perverse. You know what I mean? To like I don't know, just think like a pig organ and a human organ, or even just for a company to even like have that type of power to like.
Yeah, it's gross.
No, to like, because then like, where does that end? Where does that?
Yeah,
end?
where do you draw the line?
Yeah, like we're just gonna start growing whole humans now, and like people are gonna have moms. Like it's gonna be like what's gonna
Well,
happen,
one thing that's on the table is that they want there to be options for like, I was watching, and this was a while ago. This was like 5 years ago, so I know they've probably made progress on this. They were talking about, it was some sort of summit for like GMO research and stuff like that in China, and they were talking about like mothers being able to choose like physical attributes or like different attributes of their child before it's even born by like splicing the genome in a way that's intentional to give your child like an advantage or whatever, you know what I mean? That's insane. But that's a technology that, a straight face, these corporations and governments say that they're working on, and I believe them. It should just like imagine if they could do that, the money that would be behind that, and the amount of
well, yeah, but if you can start growing whole animals, it's like you can think about it, like you can like then like there'll be like real animals and then like synthetic animals, and it'll be like Blade Runner.
Well, yeah, because you're creating a race of like, imagine too with
you can create a whole new race doing that. You get all the race of
because imagine too with the Neuralink stuff that like Elon Musk is working on. It's like you combine that with the genetic restructuring, to give you an advantage, and you're creating this whole race of like techno super soldier people. You know what I mean? That like only the super wealthy elite can achieve. You know what I mean? It's like not only do these people already have, the economic advantage, but pretty soon, like, what happens when people start to fucking live forever? You know what I mean? And they're just part cyborg and shit. Seriously, that's gonna fucking happen.
Yeah, man. I don't know if it's the best thing for humanity, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's like everything that once it becomes elevated, like just general technology in general, the first people that fucking get it are the super rich people, and that just leads to like, I mean, the advantage of having billions of dollars is already there, but then when you have the best health and shit, it's like, look at somebody like Joe Rogan or whatever, even he can afford to like, have a nutritionist and make sure that he's, on specific diet, and he's taking all sort of supplements, and he's going to, I heard that he does some sort of like cryogenic fucking pool tub thing where he gets, I don't even know what the fuck. He just has all these crazy things that only rich people can access and even, know how to approach it. Because I mean, I don't even know really sometimes how to approach my own health, just when it comes to be like, what should I even be monitoring? What should I be practicing what should I avoid. There's so much conflicting information out there, especially online, of like just what's good for you and what's not. And that's always changing. Every 5 years, you see that the trend that everyone was doing that one summer, like that health trend or whatever, that fitness trend, is actually really bad for you.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny as fuck to see how often that shit just
That
turns out to
happens
be
a lot
bogus.
with things like that.
Yeah.
I wonder how much like the U.S. medical industry makes up for just that alone.
Oh, I know, dude.
They got the actual medicine, the actual like
It's crazy how fucked
pharmaceuticals,
up
and
it
then,
is, because
you know,
imagine in your head, because it's usually corruption in the medical field will be driven by, well, okay, somewhere along the line, people's lives are being improved by this, but
that's a good
the
point.
amount of like
Yeah.
the amount of circumventing that it takes to do that, and the amount of sacrifice that people are willing to make to, like, oh, for the greater good. It's like during COVID, all of the hospital numbers were pretty much inflated, like to levels where, it's like, okay, imagine you work at a hospital and there's somebody that, like, gets killed in a car accident, but they had COVID. But obviously that's not what they killed them. You know what I mean? But there are all sorts of instances of things like this happening where, people would attribute deaths to COVID or fake hospital numbers so that hospitals were more full than they really are, not to deliberately, hurt somebody or make things worse, but just because these hospitals that claim that they were, overrun and that had too many COVID deaths were the ones that would get the most funding. And if you're working at a hospital, you're helping people every day, then obviously you want your hospital to have more money, because you personally know how, whatever how old your equipment is, or how much you need new stuff or whatever. So it just, things like that lead to widespread corruption, when really it's just somebody who's trying to
it's
make
for
ends
survival.
meet
Right.
and try to help things for their employees and their customers, I guess, if you would call it that. Patients, customers, same thing, right?
Yeah. But yeah, no, for real, like the medical industry for sure, like it sounds like there's like doctors literally come in like hospitals that are kind of like compete to survive, like provide capitalism that way and stuff like that. So like if you need more
Yeah,
money,
because capitalism it reaches all levels of industry. Nothing is exempt from being touched by, that kind of, because it is in human nature, whether or not people will say it or not. Capitalism is in human nature. Competition, all that shit is like, that just goes back to like survival, when there was only one, there's only one fucking animal out there.
I don't entirely agree that like capitalism is like the manifestation of that part of human nature, like survivalism and like fight or flight and stuff like that.
Doesn't mean I
But
think it's good, but
I know what you're saying, but like I like to challenge the idea that capitalism is like ubiquitous like that, like it's like all like omnipresent, like it's all like it's everywhere type thing. And,
no,
like,
there's definitely there's
like,
some
like
there's some kind of,
like it's always been capitalism. Like the world's been run in like 50 different ways.
yeah, exactly.
That
There's
not
totally,
even
you
like
can see,
weird, that I don't even look at like not even look like that at all.
yeah, because
So,
you can see examples of like, communistic type societies in nature and stuff with like certain animals. So it's definitely not something that's like completely artificial and made up. Like it definitely makes sense. But that's kind of the shitty thing about things like communism and socialism, is that they sound really great on paper, but then when you try to impose them, it's like people don't like being restricted like that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, so if everybody has the same amount of food on their plate, you know what I mean? There's gonna be that one person who wants to have more,
Yeah.
and they do anything to achieve that. And a lot of it's an ego thing too. It's definitely like a big ego thing also.
True. There's a lot of different ways to like handle that too. Like I think the way that capitalism handles like the guy who wants like more food, although he may not necessarily need more food, which is usually jail, actually, if you think about it. Like, but it depends on how you get the food. Actually, that's a funny thing about capitalism if you think about it. It's more like it doesn't really matter how much food you have. It's more like how you get the food and stuff, and like how much harm you do to like.
Right, like
I'll give it
ethical
maybe it's
consumption.
about how much harm you may do to the person while getting your food. Like I'll like like things like that.
Yeah, it's ethical consumption. Everybody's all thinking about that nowadays because that's like basically the biggest casualty of capitalism is the fact that either the consumer or the retailer or the farmer or whatever, somewhere along the line somebody's getting screwed, and sometimes it's everybody. Sometimes nobody is winning in that scenario.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Jeez, bro.
And yeah, so I try not to be too
talk about food distribution.
I try not to be like too overly opinionated on subjects like that because I don't know that much about them. But I wouldn't say I'm an expert or anything. And I know everybody says that I'm not an expert, and then I'll say some fucking outlandish opinion.
More people need to say that in Canada, bro. Everybody in Canada is an expert, and like more of an expert than the next expert, especially if that expert actually knows things. So
that's funny. Yeah, I've only been to Canada once. I've always wanted to go back. I was in Vancouver for a few days, and It's really cool out there. The fucking money is like plastic and translucent.
Yeah, it's like polymer, like multicolored, like. Bro,
yeah,
it's really payday in Canada, bro. I'll be going to the ATM. I'll be like, I get paid $400, take out like a bunch of 5s, a bunch of 20s, and a bunch of 50s, and like it's just like red, blue, and green, and it's like.
And they have little holographs on them and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking sick.
I'm a
Canada is really pretty. Definitely.
I don't need Canadian money to show you. I got a Canadian debit card to show you. Block the number. Don't steal my.
Yeah, I just stole your information and I bought 100 fucking V-Bucks.
Yo, yeah, I already know, man. My Roblox character gonna look crazy, gonna look fire.
But that's actually the only other place besides Korea that I've been outside of the US, just Canada and Vancouver and stuff. I was actually there because one of my dad's friends, because my dad's an author, he like writes books. He was in this movie directed by James Franco. It was like a documentary that he did. But I mean, everybody and their fucking mom has been in some sort of weird, artsy James Franco side project. But it was funny because he was supposed to show up to the thing, but he didn't. So he did it on Zoom call or whatever they had back then. You know what I mean? He did it on Skype. And everybody was kind of disappointed because even though he wasn't the star of the movie, it's still, that was who people came to see. You know what I mean? It's not whoever the fuck is in the documentary, But it was fun. It was a fun experience it was actually, it's funny. It was during the Manny Pacquiao fight. And they were showing it on the TVs, like in the city square in Vancouver and stuff, and everybody was like gathering around and watching it. So it was interesting. I think moments like that are really cool. That's one thing that's like kind of magic about TV, when stuff like that like, obviously fight isn't as big of a deal, but like stuff like moon landing and stuff where like everybody gathers, or like there's this really cool picture of like people in New York gathered around a big TV in Times Square that's showing the Seinfeld finale, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I always think it's cool when people rally together and like they're all listening to the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like George Orwell, like War of the Worlds, dude. People were killing themselves over that shit.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a good thing to learn about journalism. I feel like it's like one of the classic like crazy journalism stories.
It's like the beginning of a phenomenon.
Yeah, for real. That was like technically that was like the first mockumentary. That used to be like one of my favorite genres, just because of how immersive it is, because it's a kind of world building that doesn't focus necessarily on the actual world behind it, but focuses on the lens with which you view it. And I think that's really there's something that's really unique about it. Because I mean, a movie like District 9 and stuff like that,
Yeah, it's a good
it
one.
doesn't really focus on like the lore of the aliens as it does just like the realism of the documentary portions and the realism of like the shaky camera and
like the
how
day-to-day of like what it would be like to live with like an alien race.
exactly and what it would be like to live in a city where an alien ship would crash and shit like that. And then there was Cloverfield, and there was kind of a trend to do those big monster mockumentary
I've always liked movies like future dystopian movies like Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner and Acura.
But I just think specifically that kind of like documentary
Altered Carbon,
big documentary feel. I just think that's really cool. I think that was a great achievement of film, in my opinion, when that kind of thing was incepted. But it's kind of burnt out now. Now it's like I saw the like fifth or sixth Paranormal Activity movie, and it was like shot in that style, and I thought it was really shitty. It was something like it was some Mexican kid that like gets haunted by a ghost and then has superpowers, and I don't know. The whole thing was a fucking
Spider-Man
super cheesy. Yeah. What's funny? I haven't seen any of the new Spider-Man movies.
That sounds like those like witches online that'd be like, "I'll steal your soul after I suck your dick," and it's like, "What, you want superpowers?" Like.
But what's funny? I haven't seen any of the new Spider-Man movies. The ones with Tom Holland. I haven't seen a single second of any of them. But there's like 3 or 4, which is wild because I was so into the Raimi movies as a kid. Like I'd watch Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 so many fucking times, bro.
Yeah, bro. Remember
when
the
first one?
Spider-Man was like such a big deal, especially like, bro. My family used to like wait till it got to DVD because I came from a pretty big family. Like I'm the oldest of like 5 brothers.
Right. And if one of you goes to see a movie, then you got to take all you guys, and then it's like you end up paying $200 at the fucking movie theater, and then there's popcorn. Yeah, forget about it.
Yeah, it's like $300. Like that's like how much I get paid like working at a gym for like.
Yeah, like a whole check just to see a movie. Like nah.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously dad's earning more money, like works at like wherever, but like my stepdad actually at the time. But no, I remember all that. And we'd like just like watch Spider-Man 1, 2, 3 and stuff like that. And then there was a time where we'd watch Finding Nemo over and over again, bro. Like, oh my god. Like my sister Sade would like play Nemo like a million times and stuff like that.
I was like that with Toy Story.
Yeah, Toy Story and Toy Story 2. Oh my god, bro. Those are like, I don't know what it was about like back then, like watching like movies like 50 times, like movies 50 times, but that was the thing. Like
when you're a kid, man, just you can do that shit.
Yeah.
Because I can't do. Imagining doing that now with anything, I couldn't do it. But I would literally just sit and watch, like, because the movies that I would have on DVD, because that was the first movie, was Toy Story. But then after that, every movie I bought on DVD, when I was bored, I would just watch it over and over and over again. I knew all the lines, I knew all the scenes. One of them was the Simpsons movie. I had that.
Yeah,
Simpsons thing. That shit is pretty dope. I think that's a good movie. But also maybe I'm biased because I've seen it like 60 fucking times.
Yeah, man. I think I've seen the Simpsons movie. I remember getting it actually as a gift. It was really good.
Yeah, it is good. It's because the thing is
we know what I'm confusing with or crossing with, my bad. Is like the Simpsons video game where it's like GTA.
Oh, dude, no, I had that too, though. I had that for PSP. Dude, that shit is
I was in the children's hospital for an eye infection, I think in grade 4 or 5, and they had it on GameCube, bro. And I would like literally just be like in the like main room in like the hospital, just like playing that's like just like playing that game. I can barely see anything. And then my grandpa's like, "Well, if your eyes hurt, why are you playing video games?" And I'm just like, I didn't like have any rude to say to my grandpa. I'm just like, my eyes feel okay. And I'm
Yeah,
just like,
so I don't fucking kill myself. Yeah.
yeah, like, oh man, that was
Yeah, bro,
amazing.
fucking that game is awesome because I remember there's like all the different sections that you have to go through. Like there's one where you're like a big ball and you're rolling around, and then there's one where you're like Bartman or whatever, and you got like a fucking slingshot, and then there's one where like you're racing or whatever. Like that's hella like classic game. And you know what else too? Not all the Simpsons games are good. There are a lot of really bad ones, but the
I played a
two
lot
that
of stuff, but yeah.
the two that are like that stick out as the best ones are the ones that are like the title games. Like the Simpsons arcade game and just the Simpsons game are like so good, dude. So fun. Have you ever played the arcade one, like the OG one? You ever went to like a pizza parlor that had it? Dude, it's so fun. It's just like a beat 'em up, like kind of like you know how they have those like side scrolling beat 'em up games, like
Oh, I know what you mean. Where it's like the dudes like this, what's my finger? You just like this, and then the guys be like, "Ooh, do," and you just kind of go.
yeah,
And
and it's like the screen
Yeah.
moves, and I'm trying to think of a good example of one. Like there's this Ninja Turtle game that was kind of
Oh,
like
yo,
that.
they have that at Apartment 200. Yeah, I play that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And it's like that, but with the Simpsons, and it's super fucking fun.
True.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say about the Simpsons movie is that there was a time when this show was kind of declining, and it was like not that great writing wise, and pretty much everything wise, because the production value decreased too. And so they tried to combat that by making that movie. And I think the movie was definitely a lot better than the TV show, the seasons that were like preceded it and followed it. I think
What did you feel like you were
it's
like?
incredible how terrible it is now.
Yeah, I was wondering like, what do you feel like you were getting out of The Simpsons and stuff like when you were watching it and stuff like? How did that kind of like?
Growing up as a kid,
like,
when I was watching The Simpsons,
like resonate with you, and like what were you getting? Sorry, I wasn't done my thing. What were you getting from it like at the beginning when you first started watching it, like when you thought it was good? And like what are you getting from it like, like when it started to like decline or things like that? Because I kind of
yeah, totally.
that's an interesting question to kind of learn, like, like every series kind of has declines. Like Community was like an amazing
Right.
series. You know what I mean?
But the really interesting thing about using The Simpsons as an example is that it's it's definitely, I think, one of, if not the longest running animated shows on television, like animated sitcoms. It has, how many episodes does it have? Because I was gonna say maybe like, gee, I don't even know, because it could be some fucking crazy number. You know what I mean? I don't want to say the wrong thing. How many episodes of The Simpsons are there? Whenever I'm asking a fucking question to Google, I always use the voice thing because it feels like I'm in the future. 706. Yeah, 706 fucking episodes. Like, that's a lot. If you're imagining that each one of those episodes is taking at least a month to like write and animate and fucking edit and all that shit, it's like
yeah, and it's like a 30-year-old show, like even more than that.
Yeah, like, it's a 30-year-old show, and all the same people are not the writers, obviously, and animators, but all the same voice talent are still doing the voices. And man, some of them sound noticeably way older. Like the woman that does Marge sounds like she's fucking 70 years old. It's crazy. But
706.
what I got out of it back then, I think when I was a kid.
There's 369 episodes of Family Guy, 248 of SpongeBob, and 287 of South Park.
Yeah, so imagine that 700 and fucking whatever episodes, man. That's insane. And the thing about it is that, like, when I was watching it as a kid, is that like I was kind of unaware that like it was like a 90s. What's that?
Oh, sorry, I'm being a little slow. I'm like, back to the question, like, what did you get out of it? Sure. I think you're in the middle of answering it, and then I kind of interrupted you. So sorry about
Oh,
that.
you're good. You're good. It's because your mic is kind of hard to understand. But basically, I like when I started watching it as a kid and stuff. What I got out of it mostly was because a lot of the shows that were around at the time that I watched were like, there was a lot of adult animation park, and there was Family Guy, and there was King of the Hill. And so out of all those shows, my mom didn't let me watch Family Guy, that's for sure. Because she, for some reason, she let me watch a ton of shit. Like I would watch shit that was way worse, but for some reason she didn't like the attitude of Family Guy. She didn't like the cynicism.
Yeah.
But
I think
I can watch.
Maybe too worried about making her kid a cynic. It's like I don't want to make my kid a cynic like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I liked South Park, but it would just kind of go over my head, except for like the toilet humor and stuff. And King of the Hill was boring. And so
fuck you. King of the Hill is amazing.
No, it's amazing. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite shows. When I was a kid, I thought it was boring. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because I was like, whatever. I'm talking like when I was like 5 or 6. I didn't understand any of it. I was just like, I don't get it. Obviously, I love King of the Hill now. I even have a song called King of the Hill. Like, okay. Amazing.
No, that's fucking
but
you should check. King of the Hill is like an intellectually superior piece of art made by Mike Judge in the state of Texas. That's all I got. Okay, anyways, I'm being intense.
Yeah, no, totally. Mike Judge rules. But you should check out my song called King of the Hill. I like remixed the theme song and stuff. Yeah. It's pretty fucking dope. But I think just out of all those shows, The Simpsons was the one that was like it was. I didn't get all of it, you know what I mean, like the references and stuff, but it was more, even like visually, it was a more brightly colored show, and the writing was really good, even for the jokes that were like simple and like aimed at kids. And I think it was just I laughed a lot, and I didn't laugh at TV a lot, you know what I mean? There's some comedy that's like, it's funny, but like The Simpsons will really make you laugh, especially those old seasons. But and so I think as time went on, I watched it growing up sort of, but there was a time when I stopped watching it, and when I was probably about like 14, 15, because then I kind of started watching other things, and I kind of got a sense that maybe it wasn't the same as it used to be, but I didn't really pay much thought to it. I just kind of drifted away to it. But then when I came back to it, maybe a few years ago, and I like season 30 or something, and I watched a couple of episodes, I was just amazed at how poor the production value was and the writing was, and the references were all really really lame and like low targets and super cliche stuff, or super like on the nose, like, oh, this is current political commentary, or like, oh, this is a reference to something that's already not cool and hasn't been cool for years and stuff. But you know what I mean? It's like they'll do an episode about fucking Instagram or whatever, and it's like, dude, this is like, it's 2021, you know what I mean? Like
2021.
They'll do an episode about like hipsters or something, like hipster coffee shops or some shit. Yeah. Like, bro, like
it's like 2013,
way past this. And then they'll have like
like
Lady Gaga do a guest voice like as herself or some shit. And it's like, bro, this is so weird. It was weird. It struck me as being so bad. It was odd, because there would also be like just elements of like the production quality that were so bad that they were almost non-existent. Like the sound, the like, about Foley, Foley in movies and stuff like that. Definitely. There was no Foley in this one episode that I watched, like barely any. Like characters would be walking, complete silence. You know what I mean? Pouring themselves a cup of tea or whatever, or like driving, it would just be silence. Like, complete silence other than dialogue, and it tripped me the fuck out. I was like high, I think, watching it. And I was like, dude, am I just like imagining this, or is there like no sound design in this like completely finished episode of The Simpsons?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a surreal vibe to watch because it's like something that was so important to my childhood, and now it has like the quality of like a bad Flash animation. And there's
What the fuck
and
is
then
Flash game?
the worst too, they try to shoehorn in like political stuff. Like they did. There's this one episode where like fucking the opening of it is Marge doing some sort of monologue about Trump. You know what I mean? And she sounds like she's at least 70, bro. Like I said, the voice
Yeah.
actor, and the voice actor for Lisa sounds like, she's a woman, so she sounds like a middle-aged woman. You know what I mean? She does
Yeah.
not sound like a little kid.
That's
But
true. Yeah.
I mean, hey, you can pull it off though. Bobby Hill was played by Pamela Adlon, and she's a great voice actor.
Yeah, man.
She also did, who else did you ever watch that show Recess?
Recess.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows, man.
Okay.
If you
So
saw the movie, there's like the part where they teach you about unions and collective bargaining and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Very
that show
good.
is so like that show is like definitely one of those ones you can rewatch and appreciate when you're older. But she also voiced a character in Recess. Who was she? Pamela Adlon, Recess. Dude, I don't know why this is so hard to find.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, she played Ashley Spinelli.
Hey, Spinelli.
Yeah, so that's Bobby Hill. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Wait, Spinelli and Bobby Hill, the same voice actor.
And it's a middle-aged woman.
Sure.
I think it's dope how they do
Like
they have like
kind of
women.
quality to it. Like
Yeah, I like how they have when they have women do like little boys voices and shit. That sounds hella funny.
I feel you. I also like it when women do little boys.
They can't really pull off like men and stuff because they can sometimes. Like Bob's Burgers does it a lot, but like the kind of like adolescent like teenager voice and shit, for some reason middle-aged women can do that hella well.
Yeah.
I like, honestly, Bob's Burgers is one of those shows that I kind of feel bad while I'm watching. I'm like, this kind of sucks, but I like keep watching it. Like, I don't know, it's kind of cringe. You feel me? It's sometimes
Yeah.
it's kind of cringe.
And it's just like the situation that Bob is in. It's just like, dude, how the hell is it that desperate? Like, you can't
Yeah, for
actually
real.
be that desperate. Like,
And it's like clear, you can tell like the kind of people are writing it are like,
it's
you
like
know what I mean?
you can just tell, like, even like and John H. Benjamin is like, I don't know, the quintessential like struggling human being voice.
He's
Where
great. I love
where-
Archer too.
where it's just like, where dude's like, I don't know, it's just like the dude's like it's having like an existential crisis, and then it like affects like the burger joint, his like marriage or whatever, and all that stuff. And like it's like the way it's communicated. Like, I don't know, like Bob's Burgers, if like that nigga runs out of chicken nuggets, he'll just be like, well, I've never really bought chicken nuggets the way I was supposed to. Like that's how that line's delivered in that show, And Family Guy, it's just like, I forgot the chicken nuggets. You know what I mean? And then it's like, Peter, how did you forget the chicken nuggets? Like,
Peter, don't turn me into marketable plushies.
no. I feel you. It's like, yeah.
I watch too much TV, man. I watched and think about TV way too much because it's just like, I don't know. I'm hella lonely and shit. Like, I don't have really any friends, and like my girlfriend broke up with me last year. So like all I've been doing is like making music and fucking watching TV.
Press F to play for Fallen Soldier.
Yeah.
Thing, I don't know.
Literally, dude, it fucking sucks, man. Like my whole life, just like it took a while just to get to the point where I'm not like, having an anxiety attack all day. Shit. I'm still mad depressed, but like,
Hold on, I think the government's calling me actually. It's like for my passport. Hold on. Keep No. Never mind. It's like a credit building loan thing. I thought would be a good idea to take out. Like you pay $50 and they improve your credit. And I'm like, I think my credit score is like 590, 570. So I'm trying to get up to like 600 so I can like get a credit card and just, have more access to stuff. But yeah, I'm just like, I don't have the money for that. So I just like want to cancel it or whatever. But
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know what my credit score is.
bro, you should definitely check it out. But I mean, if you can get approved for like a credit card, it's definitely like decent.
For sure. I get worried about things like that because I'm terrible with money, bro. I'm awful with money. Like the worst.
It
It just like slips through my fingers. I lost my phone like a week or two ago and I had to buy a whole new phone. And I had only had it for like a month. I was so pissed. I was so pissed. Brand new. Okay, not brand new, refurbished iPhone 12 and
Pretty good.
no insurance. I fucking lost it.
The secondhand iPhone 8.
Yeah.
The-
So I downgraded. I had to get an iPhone 11 and I was super upset because what I liked the most about the iPhone 12 was that the selfie camera was just as good as the back camera. Like it had the exact same megapixels. And that was so dope to me because I take a lot of pictures of myself. So I like to be able to see, you know what I mean? The
quality.
Yeah. But it's like when I do that, the selfie camera on a lot of phones, even like the newer iPhones, really sucks. And so it's like, fuck, I just use a tripod and I turn it around and I just hope that the pictures are good. But I have this little clicky thing where you can like push the button and it like takes it, you can Bluetooth connect it to your phone and then it takes a picture. So you don't gotta set up a timer and shit.
True.
But it is kind of awkward.
Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward because I have to hide my hands and stuff when I have to go like this or something, and then I'm like pushing the button underneath.
Okay.
But yeah, I was saying earlier, I'm just like, I'm still hella depressed and stuff, but like, I'm trying to work my way through it. And it's just a good way is just to keep productive, I just try to keep learning about things and making things, creating things, making plans to create things, etc. Next month is when my album's gonna drop on Veterans Day on the 11th.
Hey.
It's gonna be fucking sick. It's pretty much almost done. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm like really happy with it.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
There's a lot of rage beats on there. It's mostly rage beats.
Definitely. That's like a new genre of music right there. Like
Yeah, dude. And it's fucking sick because it's not that different than the style of music I was already making. So it's like easy for me to get into it. Because when I first heard it, I was like, oh, dude, this is totally like a little soda-boi type beat. You know what I mean? When I heard beats like that, I was like, dude, I need to get on this. And then I just heard hella people using those kind of beats, and it's like, it's dope. It's like, it's dope when the scene every once in a while will align into something that I think is cool. Because it's like there's a lot of trends when it comes to just sounds and producing that I think are kind of whack and that I don't really fuck with. But it's like when there's like a really dope like production trend or like beat trend, I'll be really happy because it's like finally something that I know people will fuck with because it's popping right now, but something that I don't actually mind making, you know what I mean? Something that's like sick to me. Because I've never been the type of person to make a song and just be like, oh, this is what's cool now. Even if I'm not super into it or whatever, like I gotta make a song like this because I know this is gonna get me views,
Yeah. Like, yeah, true. And like even just like having to like make art that way, just be like, okay, this is what people will listen to. So I have to like kind
Yeah,
of
I've never been that type of person. I mean, I don't knock it, you know what I mean? I don't knock anyone's hustle, but whatever you want to do. But I just you know, when I create art, it's really hard for me to control the output in like a conscious way, you know. Everybody's telling me sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, especially when I'm collaborating, like, oh, make a beat like this, or can you make a song like this, bro? Or like, bro, you know that one song you made? Like, make a song like this. And it's like, bro, unless I'm like trying to like recreate that song exactly, like I can't really do that. It's not even something that like I like, oh, I don't like to do that. It's like it'll always come out way different. You know what I mean? Just because of how free my creative process is. And like,
Yeah,
you know, I try to
it's
just,
hard to do the same thing like over again and repeat it in that way.
yeah. And it's
I'll
also,
be honest with you. Another thing I've really like struggled with is like repetition or things like that in that way. But I definitely like because that's more consistency in certain ways in certain like contexts. Um, but like yeah, it's really like how much you like want to explore and things like that. Because you have artists like Beck that like like Beck for instance when he makes a song like no two songs really sound the same, right?
yeah.
Like where it's at and like I don't know I like Odelay for
Oh,
instance.
yeah, totally. I was gonna say I had that on cassette.
Yeah, literally, and like so like those two songs like almost completely different. Like Time Bob's like an EDM song. Like so I guess that's an artist that's kind of like that. And I'm trying to think even like a more contemporary like artist that's kind of like that. But for instance, there's like artists that are more consistent, like Trippie Redd. Like most of his songs, like it's a Trippie Redd song, right? Like most of the songs
Right.
are like a lot more consistent. Like Yeat almost does it almost too much, where it's like almost like you play a Yeat song in the beginning, it's like it's like after a while it's like that, and you know what I mean. But that's also an artist that's like really consistent too, right? Where it's like I know what to expect from Yeat, I know the emotions to expect from Yeat, I know when to listen to Yeat, basically. Like the same thing with like D Savage too, where it's just like when to listen to D Savage, like when you're like riding around doing your shit, like turning up and all that.
Yeah.
And Yeat's like the same type of music where it's like energy music. Like it's not necessarily like at work music, but it's like going to work music. You know what I mean? Like it's like music for like it's like emotion. That's like maybe point.
Yeah, totally. I think that
Yeah.
the mood
This this guy just hit like a monster line, bro. It's like a wild ass faces. I gotta call you over. I gotta laugh at you like that for a little bit. That's kind of funny, but
yeah,
but,
funny. But yeah, I think the moods that moods and emotions that music conveys are like it's a big part of why I even listen to music, because it incites a visceral reaction in me. Music is one of the most, like, you know what I mean? It's like I only usually really cry if there's like sad music, you know what I mean? It's like shit like that. Like it's super ingrained in my brain, you know what I mean? And all people, but I feel like I definitely have more of a fixation on music, like a hyper fixation, and like kind of just instinct for it. And I don't know exactly where that comes from, but I definitely like have had it my whole life. And always had an ear for just like what sounds good, because
yeah.
I never learned how to read music or anything, and that's not for lack of trying. I've tried to learn how to read music so many times and play an instrument and this and that, but it's like because of how poorly I did in school and how much I disliked it and how much I was like kind of hated by my teachers and was causing problems in class and had really bad grades, dude. I had the worst grades just from like second grade on, dude. I had like D's, F's, E's, like all that shit. Like having a C would be like, good for me. And so combining that, you know, thing that I really didn't like, school, and music, something that I really, really loved and was kind of an escape for me. It was like, I was combining my escape with the thing that I was escaping from, so I didn't fuck with it. And I never learned how to read music in a professional sense, or how to play an instrument in a professional sense. But I've always just had a really, strong ear for it. Like I've always really just like been really picky about the sounds that I like and the kind of chord progressions that I like, even though I don't even know what they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just know how to make them and I like them. And that's good enough for me. I don't have to know music theory and all this other stuff to appreciate the music that I make. But I also know that the stuff that I'm making is utilizing a lot of elements of that, whether I know it or not.
Yeah, I was saying like all the guys who like made music theory and stuff like that, and like programmed all like the things in your DAW and like the synthesizers and
Yeah,
like they literally like did all that so that people don't have to like meet their music theory and stuff, like
exactly.
right?
Exactly. That's a really good point.
So yeah, man, it's like those guys like worked, I guess, like that hard, I guess, in that way, so that like people wouldn't have to, if you want to see it that way. But it's also like you can look at it as
Right, but
hard
just
work,
so,
like
yeah, so
it's
there
also
so there can be
interesting.
so there can be a greater universal understanding of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man.
And that's a really cool thing. That's a really important thing for any medium.
True. Universal understanding.
Yeah, exactly.
For real.
I got some gas right now.
True.
You smoke?
Yeah. I smoke a lot of indica, a lot of hybrids.
I'm an indica guy.
I was smoking some OG, some Gorilla Glue, and can't remember what else. OG, Gorilla Glue, and I'll say like GSC, GSC. I'm not quite sure, but
You smoke blunts? You like woods? Or
no,
are
I
you more
smoked the
about-
woods for the first time in a long time the other day. Like, it's been so long since I smoked woods, but like I smoked like a nice backwood like I think like 2 or 3 days ago. Like I've been out of
Yeah.
it for the past like 2 days, so like it's hard for me to finish food and stuff like that. I'm a regular smoker, so
Yeah, I'm a wood guy, but I like pipes and stuff too.
I wanna see if I can actually find the what's our woods pack? Canadian woods packs look kind of like some might get a kick out of it. It looks like some 1984 shit actually. But
You guys have cool flavors there?
I have like a lot of like normal like flavors, to be honest. Yeah, that BB gun I showed you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I traded this with like some dude for these sunglasses, like they're Gucci. It's pretty fire.
That's dope. Those are dope glasses. I got these pair of Ed Hardy glasses. Wait, hold on.
All right. Well, your denim looks good.
What's that?
So your jeans look good. Like they're like acid wash. That's pretty fire.
Oh yeah, I like these. I like this pair of jeans. I don't know what brand it is, but yeah, check it out, dude. These Ed Hardy glasses are so nice. I really like Ed Hardy. It's one of my favorite brands.
Like yeah,
You're stanced up. Yep,
you know,
I feel it.
different on my wrist digital time. Yo, different on my.
I got a little bracelet here.
All right. Well, that's cool. Chrome hearts.
Yeah, the dagger on the other side.
I know. Right?
Nice. It's like green screened out. That's kind of a flex. Like, what if you wore like an all green outfit and then had a green screen to a zoom?
I guess you just see your probably see the clothes, but it'd be kind of it'd be kind of cool actually. It would kind of have like a holographic effect in that way, where it'd be like womp womp womp, like on the.
If you did it well, though, you could have it so be so like you're a floating head and shit.
Yeah, sure, that's possible.
I have a green screen.
Yeah,
It's
that's fine. Say word. This is your like bro. Like rent must be nice over there, bro. A big ass house.
I mean, I got a big room. I got a like walk-in closet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
My bad. I mean, I haven't had my like a bedroom like in a house for a long time. Like usually like in apartments. So like damn,
yeah,
that's a lot. It's like wow, that's cool.
it's funny because I grew up in apartments, but my dad didn't get a house until I was like 16 or 17 because he was saving up for one, but he just couldn't afford one until then. But then he finally, I think he took out a couple of loans and stuff, and he bought this house, and so he's been paying off the mortgage and stuff like that for a few years. But it was it's like it's in a neighborhood that's kind of far from Seattle, but it's close enough so that it's not like that bad of a drive. And the house was it was like a foreclosure, so it was a little bit of a fixer upper, but it's pretty nice. Like
Yes, it's like
I
a
think
like Seattle suburb.
what's that?
Like it's like a Seattle suburb or whatever.
It's not necessarily a suburb, but it's like it's it's like a mix between the hood and a suburb. Like it's kind of dangerous, but like it looks like a suburb. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's all that houses and stuff. But if you go up a little bit, and there's like a couple of like main streets up there, and it's like I don't know. At night, I don't like walking around because just like a bunch of tweakers will hassle you, and there's like prostitutes and stuff like that. It's not as bad as it used to be because it's kind of gentrified now, but not that gentrified. All they did was like put in a library and a retirement community.
Jeez. Yeah, that's not even really gentrification, but like, hold on. Hello?
Not really. It won't be gentrification until they put in a Starbucks.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of a thing. Can I? Well, actually, hold on. I'll probably actually take this call. Give me a second.
Yeah, go ahead. It's good.
Hey, wait, what's up? What's up?